Ladies and gentlemen, it is the time of the week again for the Gift of Gaming podcast, and we've had a bit of time to play the Switch 2, and we're going to tell you all about it. Play the music. All right, it's me, your host, Darren Wade, and today I'm joined by Craig, the critical Nolan, Mr. Nintendo himself. Craig, how are you?
I'm very good, Darren. Thanks for having me on.
I wanted to go, as we start all the episodes, as we usually would, to see what you're playing, but in the honor of it being the Nintendo Switch 2 review, I'm assuming we're just going to talk about Nintendo games that you've been playing on the Nintendo Switch 2.
Shoot, well, obviously we were going to do that, but I was really hoping because I assume... I really want to talk about Claire Obscure, though. Just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Can I get it like a few seconds in about Claire Obscure again before we start the thing going?
I'm so keen to talk about that
just
game.
Because I have been playing a ton of the Switch too, and Mario Kart and stuff, but still,
you've needed
Claire Obscure, until I 100%
cleanser.
that game, it's just, and I'm 99% done, Darren. I literally only have that boss left that you saw me fighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but this boss is an absolute son of a bitch, you know?
How far have you gotten? Because I watched you finish, I don't know if it's
Phase 1.
Yes.
Like, I was grinding for ages and then I managed to defeat Phase 1 and then Phase 2 immediately killed me.
Yeah, that was
quite
great
funny. Seeing, it was just like in Dragon Ball Z where you think you've beaten the enemy and then he just like reveals his true power.
What I enjoyed about that was I sat down and I hadn't beaten him at all or even come close to beating him, and you sat down and you said, do you mind me fighting him? I was like, no, go for it. And I hadn't even come close to beating him Phase 1, never mind the rest. And you beat him and we kind of sat there being like cheering. We were like, wait, oh my God, way to go, Craig. You've beaten the toughest boss in the game. And immediately we got a cutscene for a Phase 2 start and he fucking whooped you in Phase 2.
Like immediately he just hit me with one attack and it killed everybody. He has this move, light speed something or other, but it hits everyone like 7 times and each attack would one-shot you, so you have to perfectly parry all 7 or you're dead. But they come so quickly, like, you know. And I have been able to, I'd say I've parried maybe 2 of the 7 hits and I fought him like 3 or 4 times now at this stage. But it's reached, like, unlike Kev, I don't like playing a boss over and over again to learn his patterns. I'll do it twice and then I'll go off and grind and then I'll come back maybe the next day. I don't want to learn stuff off by heart.
Have you not maxed out your characters at this stage?
No, they're like early 90s in their levels. So now I'm just trying to get everyone up to level 100. Sort out my way. And I refuse to look at guides. So I've never looked up anything like necessary in the game. I'm doing it all myself. Because it's one of those games where I feel that I've been able to do it.
What I've really enjoyed about it is talking to you and Kev, because anytime we meet up, we always chat about it. And we always talk about how we've built our characters. I don't think any of us have looked at like end game builds online.
I have no idea if what I'm doing is correct. But my play style is very much just trying to get more AP. That's what I focus on.
And what I like about it is that it's so different. I watched how you fought that end boss, and I watched how you were doing like your normal fights, and you just had like, your Verso could fire off 1 million free aim shots.
At least like 30, like
crazy. Yeah. And in terms of my build is nothing like that, but in their own way, they're equally powerful in terms of the damage that I would have done in my build or my strat was kind of a little bit less than yours. I think you're a couple of levels higher than me, but it was done so differently, and I like that. I like that there's so many different choices.
My Verso is my main character. He's my damage dealer and stuff like that, and just the way I have him set up, I'm so happy. I'm just like, no, this guy, he works perfectly. And now because like there's this picto called Cheater, which lets you take 2 turns instead of 1. I've had that off the entire game. I've never once used that.
Interesting.
I've equipped that with all 3 of my characters for Simon. To get past that Phase 1. Because it was easy once I did that, because I essentially had 2 turns to like. But that has now changed my entire strategy because I can set myself up in my first turn and unleash hell in my second turn. So now I spent hours just tinkering with all my different strategies to try and work around that. But once he uses that light speed attack, I'm dead and there's nothing else.
That's just
so it's a lot of fun, but I need to get this done before I can move on to my next big game, which I already have planned.
Your next big game which you have planned?
It's getting perfect scores, Darren, and it challenges Expedition 33 for Game of the Year, so I have to get it. I have to.
What game has been challenging?
Death Stranding 2.
Oh, dude. Craig.
The reviews have been perfect.
Craig.
I know the story is going to be batshit crazy, and I hate him for that. because Metal Gear Solid 4 is a piece of shit, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the greatest games ever made.
Craig, you played Death Stranding 1 for 40-something hours, and you hated every hour you played that game.
I didn't hate it. I hated everything to do with the story because it was batshit crazy and didn't make any sense. Yeah. And the characters' dialogue was atrocious, and their reactions to everything was incorrect.
Do you know what one of the craziest quotes I've heard so far, and I don't know how much of it is true based on Death Stranding 2, but this just goes to show me how crazy Kojima is as a game creator.
He shouldn't be allowed to write stories. Someone should take the script and dialogue off him and say no and slap him on the face. Like
a play test when it was play tested, his complaint from the results of the play testing, if the quotes are to be believed, is that people said the game, or he said the game, was too good. People were enjoying the game so much that he said, no, this isn't what I want. I want it to be, I want it to cause friction. I want it to cause debate. I don't want everybody to sit in this game and have the same interpretation of it. So the guy was basically told his game's amazing and then changed some shit to make it non-amazing, if you believe what you hear.
I don't believe that. No.
That's crazy, though.
That's too wack. It's classic nonsense, you know.
I don't know. It's classic Kojima. I mean, it fits right
but
into
like
the
Metal Gear
brand.
Solid 3 is his greatest game. It's his apex. It's his absolute perfect game that he's done.
Yeah.
And it's the most normal game he's ever done.
Yeah.
It's just a straight up James Bond movie.
Yeah.
You know? And there's, other than them having special powers, there's nothing else to it. There's no la lu li lay lo. There's no bullshit. There's no clones of everyone. There's just a straightforward spy thriller about betrayal and loss. And that's it. And it's perfect. Yeah. It's when he did Metal Gear Solid 2 and he shot himself in the foot by making too crazy a story that Metal Gear Solid 4 had no choice but to follow. To follow, and fell apart completely because of it. It was just an absolute mess. And I think it's an absolute shit game that I will never play again, even if they remaster it. And Metal Gear Solid 3, even though it's my favorite because it doesn't actually have Kojima attached to it, I'm like, no,
you're not touching the remake.
No, thank you. But I do want to play this Death Stranding, especially if it challenges Expedition 33 for Game of the Year, because then I have to challenge that and see if it's worth it.
I will be so disappointed if, after how much I've loved the revival of the turn-based combat that Expedition 33 has brought to the table, if that gets put to bed because of a fucking Kojima game. And okay, fine, if it looks amazing.
But that's why I have to play it so that I can judge it for myself without going absolutely apeshit at it, you know?
I'd be interested to see if you, on your...
It was the same with the Twilight books. I had to read them to tell people how shit they were, you know? Because like I saw the movies and I was like, oh, well, you didn't read the books. So I read the books. And then I was like, no, it's fucking shit.
Yeah.
You know?
What you enjoy is a terrible thing and you shouldn't enjoy it. Yeah. That is disappointing. I was hoping, not that I wanted to, I mean, my brother's a massive fan of the Death Stranding series. When I say a massive fan, Death Stranding 1 spoke to him. He understood the story was weird, but the gameplay was something that spoke to him at the time that he played it. And he's very excited for Death Stranding 2. And I hope for people like that it is a good game. But for me, I don't want fine art to beat the stuff that's clearly beautiful art. Do you know that kind of way? I don't want fine art to be like...
The game does look gorgeous. And like myself and yourself have been saying for years now, I really want something that makes my PS5 pop.
Yeah, that makes it work.
Clear Obscure looks great, and Horizon look great, but generally nothing's really doing it.
And Death Stranding 2 does look like it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and I would like, plus it has a lot of that kind of barren landscapes and like those kind of desert looking places. Like even Final Fantasy Rebirth, the best looking visuals in the game are Cosmo Canyon. Like the whole thing looks gorgeous. Yeah. So once you have those kind of bland, like rough Dune-esque landscapes,
just
they
like
tend
stark
to pop like on the TV. So I'm looking forward to getting into it just from a pure
and a few of the people within the industry that I listen to, they'd all know that Death Stranding, the first one, isn't a game for everybody, and understand that it's got mixed reviews, and they'd agree that it should have mixed reviews. They've all come out and said that they've really enjoyed their time with Death Stranding. They got it however many weeks ago, preview or whatever else. They've all loved it. So wait and see, Craig. But I swear to God, because my whole thing was GTA 6 isn't out this year. Great, Clear Obscure will get the absolute credit I believe it 100% will deserve by the end of this year. But yeah, I'm a little bit apprehensive now that Death Stranding 2 is so well received.
It does have the underdog tag, and because people are human beings,
we go for underdogs.
For me, it'll have the better chance, even if Death Stranding got like perfect scores, people like, oh yeah, but this is an underdog.
But look at this. This is their first game
people
ever.
Are so flawed.
I know these people are Kojima.
I can at least count on them to do me a favor in this. Like, because if Death Stranding's the better game, it should get Game of the Year. That's just the way it is.
I just can't understand
people
how it
don't work
be.
that way. They're like, oh, Expedition 3, this is a new studio.
They
aren't they great?
best,
Aren't they precious? Aren't they cute? Let's give them Game of the Year.
But in fairness,
they deserve it.
The one thing that I will pat both studios on the shoulder for was that supposedly in the method in which they develop their games, they seem to be how would you say, not perfectionists, but they've got everything working extremely well. What's the phrase? God, I'm completely drawing a blank. But basically, their process means that like no stone is left unturned, and by the end of the game, they're not like. Now, they said they ran out of time in Clair Obscur to put in certain gameplay things that would have been great, but the game didn't need, essentially.
I do think they're going to add stuff.
Yeah, and so they've said. But, I mean, their processes were efficient. That's the word. As a studio, they were insanely efficient. And it appears that Death Stranding 2, considering the amount of time between 1 and 2, and how good the game looks, it appears that studio has been very efficient as well. And I like studios that come out and they're efficient in their stuff because the industry.
Think 6 years is a good timeline?
I think for a game like Death Stranding 2, when we look at it graphically, I think it'll be one of those things that I could say, yeah, I mean, let that cook for 6 years. And I would always be, providing it's financially feasible, I would always be for a studio to take the time it needs to finish the game, than to come out with something that kind of really leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth and in the industry's mouth. I'm always like, if it's going to take another year to polish this off and make it the game that you envisioned, then do that. Don't rush the game and make me sit there and be like, this is a piece of shit.
I just wouldn't call it efficient, though. Like, if you need the extra year, that's fine, but that doesn't mean it's efficient.
But what I'm saying is, did Death Stranding need the extra year, or was this always on their timeline? Because it looks like with Clair Obscur, it looks like the studio had their targets and for certain dates, and they just met all of them, and the game kind of the process, right? It's like when we talk about the Final Fantasy trilogy with 7. It's that they mastered everything in Remake, which meant that the development cycle for Rebirth was a lot more efficient, and they're saying even Part 3 should be even more efficient in that. And I like that. I like when game studios are, if like someone's sat back and thought about this, and before it comes to the table, everybody knows exactly what they're doing, which I think in some studios doesn't seem to be the case. Like lots of things just seem to fall apart in the industry these days. So
games are tending to take much longer to make these days anyway. Like gone are the Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed yearly games. Those are just gone.
Well,
like,
I mean,
that just fell off.
Call of Duty's still bringing out a game a year.
No,
almost.
I don't think so. Right?
They got one. I don't know if it was announced this year, but the Xbox Showcase had ended with a Call of Duty, which I assume will be out this year.
But I mean, after Warzone, what they had Black Ops, maybe a Black Ops.
They had
2.
a shit.
There's maybe 1 or 2 since
Warzone.
You know?
Yeah, okay.
That's 5 years. You know,
that's fair.
So it's definitely not like they used to rotate.
FIFA's still doing it,
or of course FIFA will always
FC,
just patch a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
like, you know?
FC is still doing it, but I just think, and I was listening to a good conversation about it, is that I just want games that are enjoyable. Like I love the idea that you can make games look graphically amazing, but that's going to bankrupt your studio. Just make a fun game. Just make a fun game that maybe isn't like hyper real.
Unless you're AAA and you have that money,
exactly,
then definitely do it.
Just don't fuck it up.
Don't worry about it. You know?
We'll find other ways. But Craig, we're not here to talk about AAA. Well, actually, we are talking about AAA games. But on the Nintendo Switch 2. So the Nintendo Switch has been out 2 weeks, 2 and a bit weeks now.
Yes,
just over 2 weeks. You and I have been playing. We picked up our Switches kind of on release day. How have you? Give me your reaction to the first time you turned on your Switch 2.
Well, that wasn't really a good experience because I had to turn on the Switch 2 to then import all my data from my Switch 1, which didn't work because all my Switch 1 data was stored on my SD card, which isn't compatible with my Switch 2. So none of that data transferred over, which meant I had to do it again, which caused all sorts of problems.
Right.
So in typical Nintendo fashion, things did not get off to a nice start. And then I immediately went online trying to buy SD cards because my Switch 1 SD card, even though it's a Nintendo licensed SD card, is not compatible with the Switch 2. They're using a new form, which is fine because apparently the transfer speeds are really fast, so it'll reduce loading time. And obviously I didn't want loading time on my Switch 1, but it just meant I couldn't even find one online to buy. So I was able to transfer over some data, and then I had to really figure out how to get the rest of the data across. So my first evening with my Switch 2 was completely ruined.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
But the next day was pretty good. When I booted up Mario Kart for the first time and put it in, and I was like, yeah, this is a really enjoyable game. But it's not a game I can play for maybe more than a half an hour. Yeah. And then I just have to turn it off because it's just like a couple of races I'll do, and then like I couldn't just play 8 Grand Prix back to back. I just can't. I can do maybe 1 or 2. and then I just have to stop playing unless people were over in my house.
And we do a couple of competitive races. Yeah. Give me your thoughts on the UI. So, were you expecting the Switch 2 to look different menu-wise? I
thought it would. I didn't expect it to be the Switch 1 menu.
Yeah.
Verbatim, identically.
Copy and paste. Yeah.
Like it was the exact same. So when I loaded up the Switch 2, you couldn't even tell it was a Switch 2.
Yeah.
I don't use the Switch 2 in handheld mode. So other than my new Pro controller, which was amazing. It's such a great controller. Yep. But thank God I bought that, because that's all my joy has come from that. Because the UI is completely the same. Yeah. There's no real difference.
I saw a great, someone did a great like a funny video, and it was spot the difference or tell me which one is Switch 1 and which one is Switch 2. And it was pictures of like the menu, like the systems menu, Bluetooth menu, the normal screen, and it was like which one is Switch 1, which one is Switch 2. Almost fucking impossible to tell. So for me, when I had a much nicer experience than I went to the midnight release of the Switch 2. Quite exciting. It was cool to be out and about. I haven't been to anything like that in a long, long time.
Nice.
It was very funny. 2 guys in front of me. One was a friend just there to support and take pictures for his mate. But when he, only a couple of us were out in the store at the time. This guy in front of me went in ahead of me, and his friend was taking pictures from outside. And the guy was really excited, got his Switch 2. And there was a cool Mario Kart World banner that you could kind of, you walked through. Which, it was like an arch.
Nice.
So that's quite cool. So the guy, when he was leaving, asked some strangers to take a picture of him underneath the arch. He was so excited. And in his excitement to hand these people his phone, he punched his brand new Switch 2 box out of his hand. Now, we all kind of went, oh, God, I hope it's okay. None of us panicked. But I do now wonder if his Switch 2 was okay, because did you hear all the stuff about
people from GameStop
stapling the Switch? But,
they must have, because you had told me that story, and I looked at my packaging on my Switch 2, and I was like, it's not paper thin. Like, sure, the screen is towards the front, but it's still it's a strong piece of cardboard.
The cardboard isn't paper thin, but the fact that the screen is the top of the packaging with nothing above it, I thought that was quite interesting, because I opened it up on this table here when I got back that evening, and I opened it the wrong way, and the screen fell out. I opened it sideways, whatever, and the screen just fell out of the box, banged on the table, and I was like, oh my God, because there was nothing there to protect it whatsoever. So I was like, shit.
But it has that kind of weird meshy looking silvery sleeve thing.
Yeah, but
that's on the front too.
But that's not like that's not.
It would have been a pretty strong pop of a stapler to do that.
Yeah.
I have no sympathy for whoever did it, because they
went ham.
They welled into that thing. They risk damaging the product anyway.
It's just weird that when you spend so much money on product development and packaging, the amount of research that would have gone into packaging this thing, as companies do for any product, it just felt like a really weird thing to have what is essentially the console. It's not just the screen that you watch on, it's everything.
Yeah.
Just at the top of the box, nothing soft to protect it. I was like, okay, interesting take. But listen, mine was fine. Loads of people got their things. But I do wonder now, because I didn't realize at the time when this guy dropped his Switch 2,
you think maybe it is broken?
I was like, oh, poor guy, but hey, he's fine. It just fell. It's grand. It's in the packaging. But when I opened mine up, I was like, oh man, I hope that guy's Switch 2 was okay, because it really seemed quite thin. But I was quite lucky in that I had bought an SD card. When I watched the Direct, I remember them saying that it was a specific SD card, and thankfully in Smith's they had it, and I picked it up with my Switch 2. So I did the transferring when I got home. I just left it to do it at night, because I got back like 1:15 in the morning or something like that. So I transferred everything, went to bed, and I had the day off, so I got up and everything was good to go for my games, which is really, really good. But when I turned it on and it was just the Switch 1 menu, a really weird sense of disappointment. I don't know what I expected. I don't know what I expected.
Because in the game, you need to see the difference,
yeah.
And you kind of want that. So it is a letdown when it's just visibly the exact same.
Same sound effects. Everything. There's nothing different about the menu whatsoever.
They should have tweaked that just even a little bit to just give us that sense of new, you know, because there is none.
No.
You turn it on, you're like, oh, it's just an immediate disappointment because it's the exact same screen.
Yeah.
But when you turn on your HDR setting, which isn't available on one, it brightens it slightly. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, well, that looks slightly different.
That looks it's funny because there must be an issue. I brought the Switch 2 down to the guys and we played Mario Kart. Down in Luke and Niall's place, and I brought everything back, and I brought the HDMI cable back with me. But I must have taken Luke and Niall's Switch 1 HDMI cable. I need to ask them about it because I don't get the HDR options anymore. And when I plug it into the TV, so my TV is quite good at reading, like, oh, this is a games console and this is the Switch 2.
Yeah.
So when I initially set it up here in the house, before I brought it down to Luke's, I set it up and everything, and I was like, oh, this TV recognizes that this is the Nintendo Switch console, whatever. I was like, great. The HDMI cable I have now doesn't recognize that, and when I turn it on, there's no HDR.
You must have accidentally switched them.
So I think I took Luke and Niall's Switch 1 HDMI cable because
I just used the one that was boxed with the Switch 2.
Yes, which is what I did originally, and everything worked. And now I'm not getting the option to do the HDR thing. So I wonder. I need to ask Luke and Niall if I could switch them.
Your TV. Did you make sure you put it in the exact same HDMI slot on your TV?
Yes, there's been nothing has changed. Like it was an unplug and plug in. Like it was a straight swap for me. But I think I've taken the wrong HDMI cable. I don't know if there is like a technical improvement on what they have. It's HDR, so you probably have to have a better HDMI cable to provide that.
I don't know how that.
No, if
nonsense,
Chris or Luke was here, they'd probably be able to tell us.
For me, it's just magic. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to play my game. That's why I have a Switch and not a PC, because I do not care about any of that
tech stuff.
I just want to plug in and play.
Yeah. Mario Kart is. I'm assuming. Have you bought any games with the Switch 2? Aside from the Mario Kart,
I haven't. No, I did buy the Tears of the Kingdom upgrade just to test the difference, and I noticed right away. I was like, oh yeah, like the improvements in quality and stuff like that, and lighting is a lot better. So, I mean, I did almost 2 playthroughs of both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't really want to hop back into either of them, but it's great knowing that eventually I will, but it's not now. I'm not ready. Yeah,
that's fair. I think we'll go into talk about. I think we'll go into depth about Mario Kart in a second, as a game. But just for myself, I and Daniel was on the podcast plenty of times trying to convince me. He's like, you need to play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You need to give him a good shot. I was never a Zelda person. But getting the Switch 2 prompted me to get the upgrade for Breath of the Wild. My brother had it. He gave me a loan of the cartridge,
the physical cartridge, nice.
Which is great. I've plugged it in, and I'm in love. And the thing about it is I've watched videos because I was trying to understand. This is the only experience I have, so I was trying to understand what was better, like what's does it look better? Does it whatever? I watched a video on the loading time difference for like warping in Breath of the Wild on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 upgrade. It's crazy. I don't know.
I can't remember how the loading works though. Do you have to press a button to finish the loading, or does it just do it itself? Because if it does it itself, you might not even get... Because sometimes the tips it gives you on the screen are very useful.
Yeah.
So if it skips the tip...
So it's not quick enough to skip the... I'll always get to read at least one tip.
Okay,
it's not like the loading time isn't immediate. It still brings up like the Zelda logo on screen, and the Zelda name fills up. But it fills up, I think it's like 4 or 5 times quicker than Zelda on the Switch 1, which I think in terms of getting into an open world game and now seeing how fast it is, if someone said to me, Darren, you have to finish the rest of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch 1, knowing how slow that is, I'd be like, there's no way you
I don't think...
it.
I enjoy teleport because I didn't teleport too often, but if you teleport in Breath of the Wild, not only do you get the little tips, but it also, the map pops up, it shows where you are, and then the map will literally show where you're going as well. Mm-hmm. And like seeing that transition is like being on a plane and seeing like
the plane make its
you're
journey
in Dublin and there's London, and you're seeing the trail. Like getting to see all that was actually quite enjoyable. And I'd heard that because of the loading times, you don't really see that anymore. Which is fine if you've completed the game like I did. But if you're just experiencing it for the first time, it can be nice just to see where you are physically on the map, because you could be going anywhere.
Yeah. So maybe the speed is to the game's detriment, Craig.
Yeah. Possibly, because I think there's fuck all loading in the game otherwise if you don't teleport.
Yes, I think
the
teleporting
can go anywhere anytime you want.
It's the only thing I found. But as a quick review on Breath of the Wild, I'm about 3 to 4 hours in. I've done the first 3.
And you want to do a review of Breath of the Wild? No. How dare you?
No, not at all. It's just a taster, because like everybody, I mean, it was Game of the Year. Do you know what I mean? And everyone was waxing lyrical about it for so long, and I was like, I don't know if I could get into it. Again, only 3 or 4 hours. Don't know if I'm playing it being like, this is the most amazing thing ever. But it's such a relaxing video game.
Massively,
Holy shit!
And the music tempo in it is perfect. Like sometimes it's just kind of like gentle sounds and wilderness and stuff, and you're like, that's
great.
Really
and it is great in the open world esque side of things, where you kind of just go where you want to. Really, it's fantastic. I came across one thing was a frustration, but it made me laugh. It kind of brought out like a bit more of a younger me playing video games type thing, in terms of like just keep trying until you get it done, which I wouldn't do nowadays in terms of the time. As a kid, you just keep playing and playing and playing. Mm-hmm. But I came across like a stone golem guy who just appeared in the middle of a field.
Sure.
And he had like a gemstone on his back that when you shot, he would fall down and you could climb up him and start. I didn't realize how pathetic some of your weapons could be in terms of longevity.
Yes.
So I had about like 4 like clubs. I walked in with a sword, like a traveler's sword, and that was kind of it. And I was wailing on this guy forever, broke everything, had nothing left, and had to abandon the fight. And I was like, I'm real frustrated, but I'm also really keen to go back and beat that guy, like, you know.
So a tip to tell you is that weapons will break way faster if you use them on things they're not supposed to be used on. And breaking those gemstone, like the hammers and the like Goron weapons are designed to be used for that exact situation.
Right, okay, yeah.
And you can use them on a gem like 50 times before they'll break, but a sword will break almost immediately if you start whacking a crystal with it. Yeah. They're just not designed to be used that way.
I lost my sword
and
real quick.
The game is purposely does that to make you use the right weapon for the right thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you would, even if those weapons were really, like say you had a power of 50 on that weapon, it would still break after 3 or 4 hits.
I like that. And it was just fun. It was just one of those things where the boss just appeared randomly. I had whatever I had on my person to try and beat him. Yeah. I couldn't do it, but it was nice, and it wasn't like I didn't run away being like, oh, I've wasted everything. It was like, oh, I better go find some new.
But there's no real penalty for death anyway, so it's like you may as well. It's just have your own fun, create your own little adventure.
And in terms of from an upgrade perspective, I watch videos on what in terms of your draw distance and graphically what it looks like on the Switch 1. Doesn't look bad on the Switch 1 at all. Looks great on the Switch 2. Looks so good. So I'm really keen to settle in to my Breath of the Wild. And I'm not going to do Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom straight after each other. I'll do Breath of the Wild. By the time I finish that, I would hope there'll be some more Nintendo Switch 2 games I can play. And I might come back to Tears of the Kingdom a little bit later on.
Donkey Kong next month, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Nintendo Switch 2 games, launch, we don't actually have a whole lot. It's just Mario Kart, and it's still just Mario Kart 2
Are we
weeks
about
later.
to talk about Mario Kart?
Let's get into Mario Kart.
What are we on the time there? So, like, if listeners could have fast forwarded to this since we kept them away from our main topic for so long.
This is the 20. We're approaching 27 minutes.
Fucking hell, halfway through and we only started.
We've Apologies. Talked about this episode is the Nintendo Switch 2 in terms of the environment, the infrastructure of the Nintendo Switch 2, all inclusive.
How much of that was Claire Obscura and Death Stranding?
Probably 10 or 12 minutes. People love the chit chat at the start, Craig. It's people's favorite. Mario Kart World. I'll go to you as the expert because the last Mario Kart game I played was Mario Kart 7. So I never owned Mario Kart 8. I played it a lot with you, and I played it a lot with our friend JJ as well, who would have been a Mario Kart fanatic, but never played it. So my last kind of real in-depth playthrough of a Mario Kart game was 7. I haven't played it since 8. Your thoughts on Mario Kart World 8 Deluxe being your most recent
Mario Kart 8 is definitely the greatest Mario Kart ever made. Graphically, just the leap from SD to HD was just so good. And like even visually, if you see Mario Kart on the Wii and then Mario Kart on the Wii U, like it's the biggest leap by far.
Right.
You know? To the point where like Mario Kart World, when they first showed that on the Switch 2, most people thought it was still Mario Kart 8. Like nobody realized that was a new Mario Kart game. Yeah. Because the only way people realized is when they saw Donkey Kong and they're like, hey, why the fuck does he look
character
different?
Design is
but otherwise, you'd never have known because the leap graphically isn't as good. But Mario Kart has never really been about graphics. And Mario Kart World is introducing stuff that the other Mario Karts never even dreamed of. Maybe not dreamed of, because when you go over a ramp, you could, with motion controls, you could lift your controller and your character gets a boost. Now they've amplified that to fucking well up. Like, you know, that's like that mechanic has now been used to make this more of like a 1080 snowboard trickster kind of game, where people can now just fucking jump from thing to thing, and like the skill level seems to be quite potentially the skill level is quite high. And I've just watched a couple of video game donkey videos, and I've seen the stuff he's been able to do, and I've like, wow, the skill ceiling on this game is actually ridiculous. Because in previous Mario Kart games, if you could drift perfectly around the corner and knew what the shortcut was, that's all there is, you know.
Yeah, you can't get any
your
better.
Skill is maxed, you know. So you could play the game for maybe 10 hours and like know absolutely everything and be like, but whereas this game, you'll never be the best. Like the person who is the best, you know, like you'll need decades worth of hours to be able to do this. And I do not play games like if I miss a jump, I'm not going to restart the level. I'm not going to do that. So I will never be great at this Mario Kart game. And I'm brilliant at every other Mario Kart game, but I will never be brilliant at this Mario Kart game because I will never do any of that shit. But I appreciate the game for having that because like generally it's been a game about luck, about weapons, and you know the skill was a little bit of a factor but not the main thing. Whereas with this, even though the weapons can ruin you, a blue shell could still decimate your career, there's still ways around it, and there's still things you can do to like have the edge over an inexperienced player. So I think it's really, really good. And the open world aspect, although there's not a lot in the open world, I think it's a great starting point for a future Mario Kart game. And even though there isn't a lot in there,
or even a Mario Kart World like DLC, we saw the amount of that they put into Mario Kart 8.
My worry though, like Mario Kart 8 had a ton of DLC because it was just extra tracks, and then they just imported all the Mario Kart Tour content. Whereas Mario Kart World works off a very different system where all the levels are connected.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder to introduce a new level to a pre-existing jigsaw puzzle, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how do you make it still part of the same puzzle?
They may have locked themselves out.
They may have shot themselves in the foot a little bit, unless they do little islands or something.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that
the
makes
volcano explodes and part of the land rises and it's just another part of the island already
because
on.
There's already like Rainbow Road is already kind of its own thing in the sky, and it's not part of the main map. So I feel like they're gonna have to do that an awful lot, which kind of defeats the purpose of the open world if half the world was inaccessible. You know? But what I thought was very odd is that a lot of the characters in the game have 5 or 6 costumes at least. Mario and Luigi have like 10. Donkey Kong, one of the favorite characters in the game, has 2 skins. Yeah. His default and then a padded one. Yeah. And he has a new game coming out next month. Yeah. I don't buy that for a second.
No, there'll be Donkey Kong.
There's going to be Donkey
Pauline.
Kong, and young Pauline will be introduced as a character. So I do think there'll be DLC, and I think that first wave of DLC is Donkey Kong related.
For sure.
Not only do we only have 2 skins for Donkey Kong, they didn't give us Diddy Kong, and none of the Donkey Kong cars, like the DK Konga car, none of them are in the game. Yeah. I'm like, it would have been so easy for them because they already had all the assets to do that.
No,
that
Craig,
stuff is coming.
But you know what? In fairness, like in terms of, I would say for me, the level of carts in the game, I've never been too interested in all the amazing carts because I'm always a standard cart guy. That's kind of my go-to. I'll go to the. I mean, if I'm having a fun time, like I was kind of whooping the guys' asses one of the events you were playing Mario Kart, and then once I realized I was doing, I was like, I'll have some fun. I'll pick some fun, like real heavy character in a real slow car with amazing acceleration, that kind of stuff. But with this whole Donkey Kong thing, I think in order to get a bit of a buzz about Donkey Kong and to continue the buzz of Mario Kart, if Donkey Kong Bonanza arrives and we get, boom, here's more costumes to unlock for Donkey Kong, here's a couple more carts, Diddy Kong's in here as well, there's Pauline, young Pauline, and there's another section of the track or DK Island. You have with a whole other section of levels. I'm like, that's good quality world connecting planning for Nintendo
because
as a whole.
The Mario movie is already established that Mario and Donkey Kong are the same universe. Yes. So it's like, well, DK Islands could exist just off the coast. And like, that's pretty cool.
No spoilers, but myself, Chris, and Luke did talk about it in the post show. It seems that with Nintendo kind of reclaiming Donkey Kong
as their own IP
again, it seems that they have, because we've got young Pauline, who we know grows up to be the mayor of Donk City.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's called Donk City because of the, of
New Donk City.
New Donk City. So, we might see an ending at Donkey Kong Bonanza of how she arrives in Donk City, potentially. You're kind of creating like a Nintendo cinematic universe in a way where...
I disagree because in Zelda they've done this a dozen times and then they all contradict each other immediately after in the next game.
I think Zelda's a bit more... So the thing about Zelda is it's a bit more complicated maybe to try and because the whole story about Zelda, at least for the games, is that Link just wakes up, he reincarnates.
But each one a lot of the games claim that it's the first time.
Yes,
and then they make the others non-canon, and then.
But I think it's an easier thing to do with the likes, especially if they're trying to reclaim Donkey Kong as their own IP with a new story. Here he is trapped on the ground, and this is how he arrives on the surface with, New Donk City and everything like that. And we know in the Mario movie, those two kind of they're in the same same universe and know each other, and there's lots of kind of Easter eggs. I'm not saying the Mario movie's connected in any way, but I'd like to think that Nintendo's kind of like, hey, you know, for once we're going to throw a little sprinkling of a narrative into the games in a way that
would be
connected.
Great. And like fans are already going crazy that like trying to view the Donkey Kong Bonanza as a prequel because Pauline's so young.
To Odyssey, yeah.
Whereas I just guarantee that that's not the case, and Nintendo just wanted
for fun
a smaller version of Pauline to fit on the shoulders.
You know? But
and that's ultimately the only reason they did.
In that case, why not create like a brand new character? You know,
because they've already been established as being in the same universe, and Pauline is now getting a push because she's in Super Mario Odyssey. So it makes sense that if there's going to be a female kind of princess-like character in the DK series, we already have an existing character that's being pushed somewhat lately. So it's like, well, we'll do a little girl, but we'll call her Pauline because we know Pauline was already in the OG Donkey Kong, so why not? It wouldn't make sense to have another named character because then we have to use them in the next Mario Kart. It's kind of like Rosalina and Daisy and fucking Pauline. Eventually, you just have to stop creating princesses.
Yeah, there's too many.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I feel they've done it this way. A lot of people are like, no, it's a prequel, but Nintendo, they don't do stories.
I'm really interested to see, because like this game seems to have, at least based off the Direct, seems to have like the inkling of a narrative, like that she's trying to get to the surface, and she is a singer in Odyssey.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe, just maybe.
No, I fully believe it's the same person. I just think it's
not
a parallel.
the same.
Like, it'll never be explained.
Separate timelines.
Like Super Mario is not going to be in this game in any way.
No, and I wouldn't. It's not that I'd expect Mario to be in this game, but I would like to think that, you know, that they're going to connect all of these. Like, I mean, I would love to have, because I think we didn't get like a Wario or a Waluigi unless they're in these sports games.
Wario and Waluigi have never appeared in mainstream Mario, other than Super Mario 64, where the 4-player version Wario was there. Yeah. But at no point does he ever talk to Mario or interact with him in any way. So he's not really there.
But I think and that's what I mean. I think Nintendo have, and we need to move ourselves back to Nintendo Switch review. But I think it would be cool for this like the Switch 2 infrastructure to kind of have a whole world where like, because I
would be great, but that's not what Nintendo do. Like, I don't know what you're like wishful thinking.
Hopium,
for
Craig.
Sure.
I love Hopium.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess. I hate being disappointed by Nintendo because they do it every time.
Yeah. Well, in terms of in a way of not being disappointed by Nintendo, Knockout Tour. Mario Kart World. Yes. What a great introduction of a new way to play a racing game.
Mode.
And because we've played a lot of it with our mates, and I love how intense those races are, because it's this thing of like, it's so embarrassing. Like if 4 of us are playing, and if you're not the person who's in the last 4 people at the end, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's real quitting. Like, you don't want to be the guy who's just sitting there watching you play.
Battle Royale, but with like CPUs and stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of people playing online, and the online doesn't seem to be great. But mainly because when you're online, you're playing against people that are just too good, annoyingly good.
Yeah.
So you're going to get frustrated because you're not winning, because you've only a 1 in 24 chance of winning. So you shouldn't think
that,
you're going to win.
I haven't played an online game.
I haven't played once. I don't want to.
I played a lot in the first week of release. I played a lot. I won 3 or 4 online games of Knockout Tour, but I think that was before maybe everyone's gotten to a level of understanding all of the shortcuts.
You'll be a bad player because of once Japanese kids have caught up to you, like, you know? Once they've like just sat down and sunk their hours in, it's game over. They're gonna know all the shortcuts and the best ramps and stuff like that.
Are you a fan of how the world in Mario Kart and all these tracks are interconnected?
Yeah, I think they did a great job. Like visually, what annoyed me though was pretty much every single track in the game is an existing track from Mario Kart 8. They're renamed, but it's the same layout, the same designs, the same turns, like Twomp Rooms, like the Toad Harbor.
Mario Circuit has a lot of,
even the Waluigi Stadium, like they're identical, except a lot of the walls now are quite square, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? But it's so you can do your jumps off of them. So I'm like, okay, that's good. And then they've added those interconnecting lanes which you're using for Knockout Tour, and that all seems very, very good. And as well, I haven't done much of the open world, but like if you just drive off somewhere for a while, you'll see some really wacky, cool Mario enemies, or there's even a UFO that's flying around. Like there's a lot of cool stuff out in the open world that I thought would be quite barren. That would just be maybe a couple of cows here and there, but there's all sorts of animals running around and like characters popping up.
It feels quite live, and I like how you have, even in the outskirts, you can have the odd Yoshi or Toad walking around,
hitchhiking and stuff. And
away in the sea.
I love seeing that, you know, and the music, like you said, like in that open world area, you'll hear music that you would never hear in the main tracks.
Yes,
because it can be quite calming and chill, or you get like kind of sad music. Like the options are really, really good musically, like in the game.
And I think
like just having fun and just for me around.
Clair Obscure's Game of the Year for me, as I said at the start of the episode, and the music in Clair Obscure as well was a real treat, like incredibly good. But I've listened to the music in Mario Kart, and I'm like, holy shit!
They're using music from games that aren't Mario Kart.
Yes.
They're using games from like Mario Paint and like all sorts of
really like outside the box songs. And the fact that there is like real heavy rock and roll versions of songs, and we go into like deep jazz, like real deep lounge,
jazz,
like
or then
lounge
harmonica
jazz.
versions, to suit that kind of Western. You're on the motorway kind of theme,
like the American highway style things. I was really taken back, and it was a nice thing that I was playing it for a while, just with just playing it on the TV. But there was a time I was like, I'll get into bed, won't even play a few rounds, or a few races, and I put my headphones in, connected my headphones to it, and I was like, the music in this game is
great.
So
on the Pro
good.
Controller, you can plug. I have like a deadly pair of like headphones that I can now plug into my Switch controller. So my music quality has escalated massively because the Switch 2 Pro controller now has a headphone jack.
You can just plug right in.
I'm like, the difference that makes.
Yeah, big time. Mario Kart World. The one thing I was disappointed by, and it's fixed in terms of a local multiplayer, but you can't do it online, is because you have this knockout tour, or even in the Grand Prix, you will do your Grand Prix. You'll do the first track, which will be 3 laps. And then every other race after that, you'll only ever do 1 lap of the next track, because the rest of the race is you getting to that track.
Yes.
And I was like, but I'm never going to learn these. And then I realized there is a VS option where you can pick a track and just do that with 3 laps, which is great. But it's only on the local multiplayer option, which is fine. But I was kind of like, when I was big onto online when I first started playing it. I haven't jumped in a little while. But that option doesn't exist.
Most people do play online. Like, we're the select few that just have a massive friend group
that would always be able to play locally. Yeah, we're so lucky in that sense.
But that's how I prefer to play. So for me, the Mario Kart is fine because like I'm only ever going to play 4-player like multiplayer with you guys, in a split screen setting. I do not care for online.
That's fair.
I don't want to play. And I don't want to be waiting 30 seconds for a new course to be selected. And
yeah. That's fair.
And I know I'll never come first now because, like, I would like break my control. Like, I'd be one of those people who get angry at being hit with a blue shell or lightning like seconds from the end. So I'd just rather not do that to myself.
I don't want to break my Pro controller.
For my own like peace of mind and sanity, I'm not going to play online against 23 other great players and expect to win. Because I've seen a lot of people freaking out that they're coming 8th or 9th or 10th. I'm like, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, because they used to be like, I was top of the pile before all this happened. Yeah, and as you said, gameplay wise, it's a totally different game. Character-wise, interesting to introduce all those NPCs. Dolphin makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Some of those characters don't make any sense. I mean,
I get it because 24 people are playing. You need to be able to have
24
you don't want to have 24
characters.
Marios on the screen. So you need to mix it up. And all they're doing is using the current assets that are the characters already in the backgrounds of certain levels.
Throw them in.
So I'm sure that dolphin or that penguin pop up as background characters.
Yeah.
And the crab is
Monty
just,
Mole is definitely
around,
out there, But
like they've just, and all they are essentially just little screenshots because they don't interact with their car in any way.
Yeah, which is disappointing.
Like the Goomba has no hands. Like if there was this deadly
thing in front of him,
like he had breath controls or something,
or he was like biting on the steering wheel,
then that would be awesome. But because he doesn't have that, I'm like, no, I'll never pick the Goomba.
No.
Not a chance.
No, I mean, when Luigi's in a game, I'm never going to pick anybody else other than Luigi Craig. That's just, and in terms of costume wise, it's great. I remember I watched the the launch trailer for the Switch 2, and they had Mario Kart in there. They had Luigi racing with his straw hat as like his farmer's outfit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to unlock that. That's got to be my costume. Craig, I've unlocked it. And that is my costume, driving around a straw Luigi all the way. But I love that. Like, I love that there's a few costumes to
and it's fun to unlock them by getting those. Like, because even when I'm
sandwich
first
bags.
in a race, I'll call out to the second, third, and fourth. Like, I'll call out to the lads, hey, a costume coming up on the right if you see it.
Unlock
something for me. You know? Because then we've like 4 times the chance of unlocking a new costume.
Exactly.
And
for
I think
all
that's
these
a
characters.
fun way of getting them.
Yeah.
You know?
Final thoughts on Mario Kart World. Do you think it has longevity? Do you think...
Oh, massive long. Like, in the same way Mario Kart 8, basically, that came out in like 2014 or something. And has been very relevant and was getting DLC up until like a year ago. You know, that's like 10 years worth of DLC. If this gets anything like that, we're in for a good time, Darren. And there's so much missing that Mario Kart 8 had that I'm like, they already own all those assets. They have it. They just they want to sprinkle it. Like those particular those characters like Link and Inkling and all those carts that I mentioned, like the Donkey Kong.
Yes, yeah, all the carts. Yeah.
The fact that DK only has 2 costumes, I'm like, they've done like DK is probably one of the like top 5 like most famous characters in the game. Like he's one of the original 8. And in this game, he's like on this page 2 or page 3 of the character select. I'm like, no, you're not fooling me.
No, I know what you're doing with Donkey Kong.
You're just getting it ready for the DLC.
It would be great for them to almost turn it into, not that they have to, but I think it'd be in their interest to turn it into Nintendo karting, essentially. Get Kirby in there, Link, Inkling.
I know why they haven't done that, because the open world just has so much Mario-ness to it.
Yes.
Like everywhere you go, there's blocks or there's Goombas.
But imagine...
So you couldn't really just have halfway through an area, just all of a sudden there's DK enemies.
No. Like, I mean, I would say, like, I don't think you need, in terms of DLC, in terms of I don't mean to say turn it into Nintendo Kart in terms of the world, but like what we had when the Link DLC came into Mario Kart 8, we got the Hyrule Temple as a level. Imagine just a small section in the open world that had like Hyrule Castle in it or whatever else. Do you know what I mean? Like, or a little temple in it, or a DK, DK Island. You could have some like DK.
It's just then you have Yoshis and Toads running around Hyrule.
I don't mind that.
Well, I think some lawyers might, you know, like, or I don't know what way it works.
But it's on Nintendo, right? So
it's Nintendo, but they're very cautious about, you know,
the crossover.
There's a reason Mario and Link haven't been in the same games.
Outside of Smash
they
Brothers,
don't usually
like that.
push that, you know.
Yeah,
they're a bit more
fair.
cautious. Like Smash Brothers, they've given Sakurai the right to do whatever he wants, but generally they don't cross over very often. Yeah, and I think that's just to protect both IPs. So I'd be based on the fact that Link and Inkling and all them aren't in this game right now, and the world aspect of the game, it seems so important. I don't know if they will necessarily be into the game. I know we're going to get more tracks, we're going to get more DK stuff, but I don't know if we're going to get that
the mixture of characters.
Like if we're up to me, Kirby and Fox, all the Smash Brothers characters will be fucking coming over with a new track. You know?
Well, I mean, all the Nintendo coded
for sure, no third party.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
Doesn't need it.
There'd definitely be, you know, a Fox, a Samus, a Kirby.
Could you imagine, you know, because they got Metroid 4 Prime or Metroid 4, whatever the fuck it's called, coming out.
Anytime a new game comes out for the Switch, it should get Mario Kart DLC. Just like added immediately. Yeah. Or even if it takes Amiibo to do it, fine. You know, I already have like 50 Amiibo. I'll use them, you know?
I'll figure it out. So that's Mario Kart. Next, great game.
But no, I think it's a great game right now, but I think 2 or 3 years from now, it'll be a better game. I think it's going to get a lot of add-on
I hope
content.
so.
I do hope so too.
It deserves it.
And the pricing of the Mario Kart DLC, Mario Kart 8 DLC, I think it was like €15 and you got like 8 tracks, and then another 15. I think it was $6.99 and you got 8 tracks. But if you paid €15, you got the other set of 8 tracks. And I was like, €15 for 16 extra tracks. Characters like Link, the Splatoon guys, and the Villager, and all these extra cars. I'm like, that's pretty good,
reasonable,
pretty great price. Yeah. And then I think it was like £20 then a couple of years later, and they gave you an extra 48 levels. You know?
Yeah, crazy.
Like, outrage for like £25. Like that's as good as you get in terms of pricing. Like, so hopefully
they haven't gotten
there's
too
more
greedy.
to come, and it won't affect your wallet too much.
Next on the Switch, we touched on it briefly, but like I went in, I bought the Switch. I got a case for my Switch 2. I also got the Pro controller, and let's talk about that Pro controller, Craig.
Best controller that exists at the moment.
Out of all consoles, interesting.
Oh, big! The PlayStation 5 controller is grand, but I mean that battery is gone in like 3 hours. It's a fucking battery drain. Even if you turn the mic settings off and all that crap.
The light
I'm charging them constantly.
Constantly,
because of all that extra dual nonsense that I don't
feedback.
want. I don't want any of that. You know, and yet that's forced upon me. And those lights underneath, it's like, it's all too much. The Switch 2 is just a perfect side. The smooth finish to it.
It's
so comfortable. And then it has the things that it was missing, in that it has the cables for your headphones now.
Yes.
I'm like, that's and like I always want, it has the back the back buttons,
Yeah.
which can be mapped to anything for any game. I haven't used them yet, but I love that they're there.
I really want to map them because I was looking at like I'm trying like how can I map these to help me in Smash Brothers? Like what would I need for those buttons to do for
it's
me?
just
for
in Smash Brothers you can't map tilt to a button.
Yes,
you can only have it as your C stick or the smash stick. So I'd love to be able to just, instead of smash attacks, anytime I use the back paddles, it'll always be a tilt, no matter how much I whack the stick. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Then I would use them all the time.
Yeah.
But because that option isn't there, I'm like, well, then I currently have a use.
It was a surprising introduction onto the controller for Nintendo, because Nintendo really isn't into the competitive gaming style of things, and these like back paddles are associated with those people who want to have the
It's surprising
the edge.
that Nintendo of all people would have done it to a main controller.
As the standard Pro controller, like not even like, because you know the way with the DualSense you got standard controller, but you have to get the DualSense Edge for those,
which is like what, 250 quid or something.
Money.
Like.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm like, what? I'm not paying that. No fucking way.
Absolutely not. Great controller. I love it. I'm so glad I got it. I got the GameCube, because my GameCube controller that I'd had for the Nintendo Switch 1 had some serious drift, and I tried to get it repaired. It was out of warranty, so I was like, But then I got the Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube controller, and I was like, again, like nothing like getting a brand new controller, but I had to buy, because I got the drift, because I was always going down to yours, just throwing the controller in my bag. Drift was going to just happen. It was going to get messed up. I have a little special case for my GameCube controller.
Nice.
So then when I come down and play Smash Brothers, there's going to be some serious business. Like, oh my God, Darren's got his Pro controller out of the thing, you know? But it's classic. It's in the purple classic GameCube color as well. An interesting choice for Nintendo back in the day. I love it. But yeah, any interest in the Nintendo camera?
No. I'm not paying.
Not even per camera?
No. I haven't thought of it once.
No, nor I.
I thought like the little thing they had on was like, that's kind of nice, but I would never pay money for
I wouldn't invest in it at all. Yeah. We're kind of approaching a little bit on time here, Craig. So the next thing I'll ask you, and I suppose for both of us, and we'll finish on, what are you most excited to play on the Switch 2, be it announced or unannounced? Because we had what my view was a fairly weak launch in just Mario Kart World. We know this Ducking Bonanza.
I think it was a weak launch, but I'd say DK was supposed to have come out earlier, and maybe they just needed more time to finish it, because it is coming out very soon.
See, this is the thing. I don't know. Because of their pricing, I kind of think they purposely put one game out to be like, everybody buys Mario Kart. Here's the next
But everyone always buys Mario Kart.
That's true.
Like
I
don't think there's anyone who's ever bought a Nintendo console didn't own Mario Kart. It's like the default buy. It's the most selling, the best selling game of every single Nintendo generation. Yeah. It's odd that's a launch game, but it helps, because the only game that I'd say outsold a Mario Kart game is Wii Sports, because that came with the original Wii, which is like the best selling. But that's a great game, and if you're asking what games I'm really looking forward to playing, it's Switch 2 Sports, particularly because I just want more golf. And like, it's mad because the motion controller is brilliant on the Switch 2, so I'm looking forward to getting, like, even having the lads over to use that for the regular Switch golf is a lot of fun. I would have been like, Metroid Prime, that could be fun, but because it's a Switch 1 game / Switch 2, it's gonna suffer for that. You know, that means it won't look as good as it should. You know,
and I think I've already seen that from the trailer.
I don't think Metroid should need sequels. I think it's done. Because I just keep comparing it to something like Doom, and I'm like, you're not. And it's a pity because there was such hype for Metroid 4, and that people were waiting for it for so long. And I remember watching that trailer, because I have no history with Metroid. It's not a game that I've played 1, 2, and 3. So for me, Metroid 4, I'm like, I'm going to unlock the Morph Ball. Now I'm going to unlock the rocket launch. Like, I know what's going to happen. You know, like, they're going to have maybe 2 or 3 weapons that I haven't seen, but the rest is all stuff I know. So I'm just like, I can't get excited about that anymore, because I played all 3, you know, and I think Metroid is meant as maybe a 2D game with wacky weapons and wacky upgrades that you hadn't seen in the previous ones. I don't think it works in the 3D, because they just keep copy and pasting what they already have. Fair. Like a Morph Ball, all I can do is go around this little rail, activate a bomb to make me bounce up to the next floor. Like, I know that's going to be in the game, and I'm going to be doing all the same things I've already done a million times,
and it's not going to look as good as it should.
It's not going to be different, you know. And like, it's not even going to be graphically a major upgrade, which it should, because it's a Switch 2, but it's a Switch 1 game. So
we're not even going to get.
You're not going to get a big leap.
And in fairness, when they announced it in whatever Nintendo Direct they showed at the end of it, I looked at it being like, is this what everyone's been waiting for? Like, is this what the hype's about? Because I didn't think it looked like anything special at all.
Same.
Okay. so you're looking forward to Switch 2 Golf. Anything else?
Oddly enough, I'm excited for it because I know it's a console exclusive with Nintendo, and I've purposely avoided it on Steam with the early access. But Hades 2, I really want to play Hades 2.
Hades is a Switch game for me as well.
Yeah, and I have it on my Switch, and I want it to be on the Switch, and I'm glad Switch are getting it first. But I hate that like some people have cleared it loads already. And
with the pre-alpha and everything like that, and the beta testing.
They're just like, oh, we just need to add some little tweaks. I'm like, just tweak it already, you know? I really want to play it.
Yeah.
Like if Hades 2 had been a launch game, I'd have said, oh, the Switch 2 is a massive success.
Yeah.
Because I think just having that Mario Kart game and one extra good title is enough to really satisfy my hunger.
To sell at launch, yeah. Like the one game at launch was a bit disappointing for me. Hades 2 is a great shout, actually. Yeah, that's a good one. For me, I've got two games. Again, I don't know if they exist, but in terms of like, they probably should based on Nintendo's history.
Sure.
I'm very much looking forward to the next Animal Crossing on the Switch 2. I love a cozy game, man. I love a cozy game. And Animal Crossing, I know I'm probably blinded by the mist that was COVID, and everything worked nicely because it was my escape from that horrible world. But I'm excited to get into Animal Crossing Switch 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Animal Crossing, And other one as well, I'd love to see a Lilac Wars in the same vein as like a Rogue Squadron. Do you know what I mean? Like give me a Star Fox space battle game similar to Rogue Squadron in that, like, they're just space battles. They're just space battles. It looks great. These characters that I've known and loved for years. I'm playing a Slippy. You know what I mean? I'm playing a Slippy and going around. But I think it's been too long.
For me, Star Fox doesn't work in the modern era. It worked in the time period of arcade games, where you're like, you play a game just for a few minutes and then you just go away.
But do you not think they could modernize it? Do you not think it could
because
work?
Even Star Fox Assault, the only one that had that was Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet, but that was an RPG. Like Star Fox Assault was the best one.
Was it the one you could get out of the vehicle and run on the ground?
Get out and run around. And then like Star Fox Zero, that was a piece of shit. Like, it was all about the Wii U motion controls and being able to see your ship from a different angle. But I mean, you can complete the game in an hour, especially in a time where Nintendo are going to be charging 80 to 90 euro per game.
Mm-hmm.
If you can complete a game in an hour, then
it's not worth the money.
No, you can never justify that. And I know like it's fun and you're shooting the things up, right, down, left and right, but I mean, because you're on rails in those games, like you get through a level. It's kind of like Pokemon Snap. You get through it and it's over. And yeah, you can go back and get high scores and stuff like that, but I'm like, that's what the arcades were for.
Yeah.
Those type of games don't really work on console, and I don't see Star Fox making like, he might get a game, but I don't think it, like, for me, every Star Fox game is now going to be worse than the previous one.
Okay, fair. This falls under the same, I suppose, flaw that Metroid has, but as a guy who finished, I'm assuming you finished Pokemon Scarlet, did you?
Yes,
or Violet?
Of course.
Both. Are you looking forward to Pokemon Za?
No, not at all. It looks terrible.
Yeah. It
just looks like a regular Pokemon, like, because they had already changed. So these games were about, what was Pokemon like hundreds of years ago before Civilization. I'm like, that's an interesting premise. I wonder what they'll do with it. They'll just make a big open map and put nothing in it. That's what they did.
Yeah.
But in this game, they're just using a world they've already used before, which is
a city
from the DS, which graphically wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have slightly upgraded graphics, but it's the same layout, same everything. Everything's just upscaled, so it's going to look shit. And not only that, but you seem to, for whatever reason, most Pokemon battles seem to happen on the rooftops of these buildings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? So it just looks like it's very zone specific.
Yeah.
So they probably haven't even designed the full map. So it just, for me, it reeks of classic Game Freak laziness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I see it going.
Myself, Luke, and Chris had a chat on, because we were covering the Xbox Showcase in our last episode. Did you see the game that was...
the Game Freak game?
The Game Freak game?
Yeah, I thought it looked... Yeah.
But I had no idea they could do that. I'm like, looking at it being like, why won't you do that with Pokemon? Why won't you make an amazing looking... Like, you can do it.
They made a game called Town or something a few years ago. You don't
want to play Town?
You don't really hear of it because it was piss poor. It got terrible reviews.
Yeah.
So Game Freak have made games other than Pokemon. They're just shit, so you don't hear about it.
That's a pity, because this one, I think it's, what is it called, like Beast Reincarnate or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I was like, man, if they can make games like look good like this, because this is the thing, again, and I'll say it every time we talk about Pokemon, a good looking narrative driven Pokemon is and
It'd be
incredible.
Worth its weight in gold
for people our age, because it's like we played all these old ones, we'd be right there, but we're still getting shit like ZA. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna buy ZA. Go away.
Yeah.
No,
Just
not
give
for
me the mainstream. And like, in fairness, maybe in a couple of years we will get it. But Pokemon Scarlet and Violet apparently do look a lot better on the Switch too.
Oh, I've seen the footage.
I haven't loaded them up yet.
It's day and night, man.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
But I mean, that I'll give them something for that, because if maybe like they had it running a bit better, and then like
they made it, and the Switch just was like, oh, we can't make our game in the way that we want it because this is like not powerful enough.
But I mean, there's a lot wrong with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet other than.
But I was going to say, because
visuals,
you might say that, but also like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom exist on the Switch one. So what are you talking about? Like,
gorgeous, you know. So yeah, it's hard to cut them too much slack. But at least they'd be better games if I played them on the Switch too. The only thing is, I replayed them all last year.
Oh, so you're out.
So like, shit, I shouldn't replay my games.
Wait,
it would
so
have been
close
great
to
to enjoy Scarlet and Violet again, and
with the enhanced, improved
with
everything.
Tears of the Kingdom again.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh man, I'm so set up. But I've played both for them the last year, so I've nothing to look. Hades 2, I'm looking forward to.
Good.
Maybe Donkey Kong, but I don't think it looks very good.
I'm because we watched the thing, and I'm into it in terms of it has lots of the vibes of old Donkey Kong, which I didn't think it would do. Like, we've got minecart levels, we've got great Donkey Kong music, all the characters are back. I thought Nintendo was going to do like a reskin top to bottom. I thought they were going to like reset Donkey Kong. I'm glad they haven't. But I don't know if it's a game for me per se, but I'll see when it comes out if I...
Because I got Super Mario Odyssey and I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool, but it's still not my type of game. And I the things I liked about Odyssey were collecting the moons to go to unlock the next levels.
Yeah.
And the kind of narrative associated with that, like of Mario kind of traversing the world. And then when he'd show up, he almost got like a vacation map, and the map was like, I was like, oh, here's all the tourist spots you can visit. But that was like the gameplay, you know. So he'd get the tourist map, but the map would have all the stars on it and show you where you go to do the.
It was
and
part
I enjoyed
of
that aspect of the game. DK, even though visually it looks a bit better, but because you can destroy the world, you can pretty much destroy everything.
It looks like it,
which means it doesn't look very good, you know. Like, it's lacking detail if the detail can be destroyed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to have this deadly looking DK skull of a map that could be broken. You're just going to get random hill. Like, and it already looks like that to me. Like, generic, other than the some of the areas having a different color on the floor. Yeah. It looks pretty samey.
That was my first thought on it, especially with some of the bosses and stuff like that. The game felt a little bit generic to me.
Yeah. It just looks like Mario Odyssey.
It doesn't have like a theme per se, like like you'd expect from Donkey Kong. Final question before we finish up the episode, Craig: have you or will you ever use the mouse controls on your Nintendo Stick Joy-Cons?
Possibly. If something comes out that says it's pretty good with them, because like, although I'm like, oh, why might I be sitting at a table playing my Switch? But I have one of those like boards you put on your lap for when you're eating food.
Oh yeah.
You know, or your laptop, you know. So I'm like, if I got that out, I could very easily play a game on that. So I'm open to the idea.
Yeah.
But I doubt very much. Like, if I did end up getting Metroid, I don't think my preferred way of playing would be mouse controls. I just like, no, I'm just going to use the controller. I don't care.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I have not used them yet, Craig. I don't know what I'd use them for. Basically, is my thing. Final thoughts. For myself, Switch 2, lots of potential. For me, I'm glad I have it in the sense that it feels like what would you say, an adult version of the Switch. I am not overly keen to really agree that it is the Switch 2. More so, to me, it feels like a Switch Pro. That I don't think it's a new iteration of Nintendo console.
Yeah, well, without games, there's no way
to tell.
Yeah, because especially if the UI is the same, but the Joy-Cons, the upgrade on them is brilliant.
Yeah, massive. They feel way better.
The way it snaps in and out of the console. Like, for me, that's more than a Pro. Like, it is bigger, it is better. It's not just like an OLED instead of an LCD. Like, it's the whole thing is bigger. The way it disconnects is bigger. The Joy-Cons feel better. The way they detach is quicker. Yeah. Even the like wrist guard straps, they go on so easily as well. Like, with the original Switch, I never attached them to my Joy-Cons because it's a fucking pain in the ass just getting them out of the thing. But with this, they just clip on easy. And now I'm like, oh, cool, I'll attach this to my wrist, no problem. Yeah. So it does, for me, feel like the Switch 2. It's just we don't have the games for me to really see.
And I think as well, and I think I said this to you guys before when we were just chatting about it generally, I think the Switch 2 was a massive console for people who only ever owned the Switch beforehand, because now they're in a world where they can play, and it might not look amazing, but they can play Cyberpunk. They can play Final Fantasy Intergrade. They can play probably Red Dead Redemption. Those kind of games that maybe they would never have been able to play before because they didn't own an Xbox or a PlayStation, and the Switch 2 is kind of open. And I know that they're old games, but they're still great games.
I find it odd anyone buying a Switch 2 who didn't have a PS, PlayStation, or Xbox. I know people exist, but I wouldn't say there's that. I wouldn't say that represents a big percentage of the fan base.
Well, I mean, I suppose for I guess
I had heard that none of those
kids.
games are selling very well because everyone's already played them. You know?
Yeah, true.
Like, I've played Cyberpunk and Red Dead and all the games you mentioned.
Yeah. No, most of us have. I think like that's what I mean. I think for me, it's a good console, but I think for those maybe who didn't have the consoles previously, it could be a great console because it's opened this library of games you might never have played before.
I mean, it has potential for those type of people.
Yeah, but I'm not one of them people. I wish I was one. But I mean, for me, it's going to be great because I've got Breath of the Wild. I'm going to go and revisit. I never finished Odyssey. I'm going to go finish Odyssey, and then I've got Mario Kart and like Donkey Kong. Hopefully
okay. It's good.
Here's what my final question to Smash fans: do we get DLC or a Smash for Switch 2?
We'll definitely get a Smash. Whether or not it's Sakurai, I really don't. The fact that he's made that Kirby game makes me think no, because it would already have had to have started production if it was going to happen.
There was all these, because that Kirby game, there was all these, when I was covering news episodes with Luke and Chris, there was all this talk that Sakurai's been developing a game for Nintendo for 2 or 3 years. We were like, oh my God, is he getting like ready for a Switch 2 Smash announcement?
The fact that they announced that meant to me that it wasn't
Smash.
Because that's not how they would announce it.
Here's a Kirby racing game. I was like, I could care less about this Kirby racing game. Yeah.
I don't want a new Smash Bros. I want Smash Brothers new Ultimate. You know, like
Ultimate
even
Deluxe.
though the naming of Ultimate kind of shot themselves in the foot because it's hard to be Ultimate if it's already used that word.
Call it Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe Edition, where you get like fucking 2 new parts of like character announcements. Do you know what I mean? That's all. That is literally because I mean
that's all we want.
It's all anybody would want. Yeah. No one wants.
There's still a bunch of dickheads out there who'd be like, no, we want Smash Brothers Melee. But like, do you notice like Smash Brothers Melee isn't available on the GameCube, and it never will be.
No,
they're not going to do that because if they release Smash Brothers Melee, too many of the community would never buy a new Smash because they all only care about Melee. Because they're so fucking vocal about it, Nintendo have purposely stopped you from getting what you want because they know you're not going to buy a new one. So you've just fucked yourselves, you know?
And on that note, that's a Nintendo Switch 2 review. Craig, thanks so much for hopping on.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure. And to our listeners, we hope this has helped in your decision to buy or not buy a Switch 2, or maybe you're just listening because you want to see if you agree with our thoughts on a Switch 2. I hope you're enjoying yours. And as always and forever, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.